The demolition crew foreman stopped mid-swing, his sledgehammer frozen in the air. "Ma'am," he called out, voice shaking, "you need to see this. And maybe call a lawyer. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, from the day my siblings literally laughed in my face while handing me the keys to what they called Grandma's worthless shack. My name is Sophia, and I was the family accident. Born when my mother was 45, 17 years after my youngest sibling, I disrupted everyone's perfect plans. My 3 siblings, Diana, Marcus, and Lydia, were already adults when I came along. They never let me forget I was the unwanted surprise that drained the college funds they earmarked for European vacations. Grandma Violet was the only one who celebrated my existence, while my siblings visited her on obligatory holidays, complaining about the drive to her depressing little house. I spent every summer there. She taught me to bake in her ancient kitchen, told me stories on the creaking porch, and whispered secrets about our family that I was too young to understand. "This house has been in our family for generations," she'd say, running her weathered hand along the doorframe. "It knows things, Sophie. It keeps secrets. One day, it will tell them to the right person." When Grandma died at 93, my siblings descended like they were conducting a military operation. They arrived at her house with boxes, labels, and a moving truck before her body was even cold. I took the bus, arriving to find them already cataloging her possessions with the efficiency of auctioneers. Finally, Diana said, not looking up from the china cabinet she was emptying, "We saved the heavy lifting for you." I spent that day watching them strip Grandma's house like vultures. Every item was evaluated, appraised, and claimed. The antique furniture, the silverware, the paintings, everything that might fetch a price was loaded into their vehicles. They even fought over her reading glasses because the frames were vintage designer. At the lawyer's office the next week, we sat in a row like ducks, them in their designer suits, me in my Target clearance dress. Mr. Whitman, Grandma's attorney, seemed amused by the tension. "Your grandmother was very specific in her wishes," he began, pulling out sealed envelopes. "She wrote individual letters for each of you. Diana went first. She inherited Grandma's stock portfolio. Modest but solid, worth about $300,000. Her smile was smug as she folded the letter into her purse. Marcus received the contents of Grandma's safety deposit box, which included rare coins and bonds worth nearly $500,000. He actually fist-pumped. Lydia got the mineral rights to some property in Texas, oil land that generated $15,000 monthly in royalties. She was already calculating the yearly income on her phone. "And Sophia," Mr. Whitman said, sliding the last envelope to me, "you inherit the house at 44 Cypress Street and all remaining contents." The silence lasted exactly 2 seconds before Marcus snorted. "The house, that's it." Mr. Whitman nodded. "The house and everything in it that wasn't specifically bequeathed to others." Diana actually laughed. "Oh, Sophie. Oh, I'm so sorry." But her eyes were dancing with mirth, not sympathy. "That place is falling apart," Lydia added, tapping on her phone. "The last assessment valued it at $40,000, and that's being generous. It'll cost more to fix than it's worth." "Or demolish," Marcus suggested. "Probably better to just tear it down, sell the land. Might get $60,000 for the empty lot." They all turned to me, expecting tears or anger. Instead, I just smiled. "I'm keeping it." "Keeping it?" Diana's voice pitched high. "Sophie, be realistic. You work at a bookstore. You can't afford to maintain a house, especially that disaster." "It's Grandma's house," I said simply. They spent the next hour trying to convince me to be practical. They offered to help with demolition costs, to find buyers for the land, to help me invest the proceeds wisely. When I continued refusing, they exchanged those familiar looks. Poor, delusional Sophie, too stupid to know what's good for her. "Well," Marcus said finally, standing, "when you're drowning in repair bills and property taxes, don't come crying to us." "I won't," I assured him. As they left, Diana paused at the door. "You know, Grandma was probably going senile. Leaving you that dump while we got the valuable assets, it's almost cruel." After they left, Mr. Whitman handed me another envelope. "Your grandmother left specific instructions that this be given to you privately after the others departed." Inside was a single sheet of paper with Grandma's handwriting. "My dearest Sophie, the heart sees what the eye misses. The house has been waiting for you. Listen to its stories. Love, Grandma." I moved in the following week. My siblings were right about one thing. The house was in terrible shape. The roof leaked in 3 places, the porch sagged, the paint was peeling like old skin. But underneath the neglect, I could feel the bones of something beautiful. I couldn't afford contractors, so I learned to fix things myself. YouTube became my university. I patched the roof with materials from the salvage yard, reinforced the porch with reclaimed beams, scraped and painted until my hands were permanently stained. Every room I restored revealed more of the house's character. Original hardwood under the warped linoleum, hand-carved moldings under layers of paint, stained glass windows hidden behind plywood. My siblings found my efforts hilarious. They'd drive by occasionally, taking photos to share in their group chat. I know because Lydia accidentally included me once. The messages were cruel. Sophie's playing house. How long before it collapses on her? Should we start a betting pool? 6 months passed. 6 months of 12-hour shifts at the bookstore followed by long nights of repairs. 6 months of eating ramen to afford lumber and paint. 6 months of my siblings' mockery and my own stubborn determination. Then came the morning that changed everything. I'd finally saved enough to hire professionals for the one job I couldn't do myself, foundation repair. The crew arrived early, setting up equipment to assess the basement's structural integrity. I was in the kitchen, painting cabinet doors, when I heard the commotion. The foreman, a burly man named Joe, came running up the basement stairs like he'd seen a ghost. "Ma'am, we got a situation." I followed him down to find his entire crew standing in a circle, staring at a section of the basement wall that had partially collapsed during their inspection. "We were checking for cracks," Joe explained, "when this section just crumbled. But look what's behind it." Where the concrete had fallen away, there was another wall, this one made of fitted stone that looked centuries old. And in that wall was a door. An iron door with a lock that belonged in a museum. "This isn't part of the original foundation," Joe said. This is something else. You need to call someone. A historian maybe, or a lawyer, probably both." I called Mr. Whitman first. He arrived within an hour, along with a historian from the State University, Dr. Margaret Haynes. Together we watched as Joe's crew carefully removed more of the modern concrete, revealing an entire hidden room. The lock was so old it crumbled at a touch. The doors swung open on hinges that shrieked like they hadn't moved in a century. Inside was a chamber about 12 feet square, lined with stone shelves. And on those shelves were documents, hundreds of them, preserved in leather portfolios and metal boxes. Dr. Haynes gasped when she saw the first document. This is a land grant, from 1794, made out to Elias Hartwell." "That was Grandma's maiden name," I said. "Hartwell." We spent the next hours carefully removing and cataloging documents, land grants, deeds, contracts, maps, and at the bottom of one box, a leather journal that made Dr. Haynes's hands shake. "This is Elias Hartwell's personal journal," she whispered. "He was one of the founding settlers of this region. According to this, he was granted not just this plot, but," she traced a map with her finger. My God. The original grant was for nearly 3,000 acres. Mr. Whitman was frantically taking notes. "Where is this land now?" Dr. Haynes pulled up current maps on her tablet, comparing them to the historical documents. Her face went pale. "If these documents are legitimate, and they appear to be, the original Hartwell grant encompasses what is now the entire downtown district, the Riverside Mall complex, and the new Sterling Technologies campus." I sat down hard on a dusty crate. "What does that mean?" Mr. Whitman was already on his phone, speaking rapidly to someone. When he hung up, his face was grave. "It means we need to verify the chain of ownership. But if there are irregularities, if the land was sold or developed without proper authority." "The Hartwell land was never sold," Dr. Haynes interrupted, reading from the journal. "According to this, the Layas set up a trust. The land could be leased, but never sold outside the family line. And the administration of the trust was tied to ownership of the family home." She looked up at me. "This house." My phone rang. "Diana, what the hell is going on?" she screeched. "Marcus just got a call from someone at the university asking about Grandma's house." "What did you do?" "I'm renovating the basement," I said calmly. "Don't play dumb with me. They're saying something about historical documents and land rights. If you're trying to pull some scam." I hung up. Within 2 hours, all 3 siblings were at my door, along with a man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as their lawyer. "We need to talk," Diana said, pushing past me. They stopped short at the sight of Dr. Haynes, Mr. Whitman, and the team of historians who'd arrived to help catalog the discovery. "What is this?" Marcus demanded. Mr. Whitman stood. "Your sister has discovered documents that appear to establish her as the trustee of the Hartwell Land Trust, which encompasses approximately 3,000 acres of what is now downtown Sterling City." The silence was deafening. "That's impossible," Lydia finally said. "The documents are being verified," Dr. Haynes added, "but initial assessment suggests they're authentic. The Hartwell Trust was never dissolved, which means every sale, every development on that land for the past 150 years may have been illegal." Diana's lawyer was on his phone, speaking urgently to someone. When he hung up, his face was ashen. "We need to discuss this privately." "No," I said. "We discuss it here. In Grandma's house. The house you all called worthless." "This is ridiculous," Marcus sputtered. You can't claim ownership of half the city because of some old papers." "I'm not claiming anything," I said. "I'm just following the law. The same law that gave you your inheritances." Diana tried a different approach. "Sophie, think about what you're doing. This will tie up the entire downtown in legal battles for years. Businesses will suffer. People will lose jobs. Then maybe we should find a solution that works for everyone," I suggested. Over the next weeks, as news of the discovery spread, I was inundated with offers, threats, and pleas. Developers offered millions for me to sign away rights I might have. City officials begged me to be reasonable. My siblings alternated between threats and attempts at reconciliation. But I had a different plan. Working with Mr. Whitman and a team of lawyers, I established the Violet Hartwell Community Trust. Instead of demanding centuries of back rent or evicting current occupants, the trust would collect a modest percentage of commercial property values annually. The funds would go toward affordable housing, historical preservation, and education scholarships for local students. "You're giving it away?" Diana asked during one of our mandatory meetings. "You could be rich, richer than all of us combined." "I am rich," I said. "I have Grandma's house." The legal battles took another year to fully resolve. Some property owners fought, but most eventually agreed that paying into the trust was better than having their ownership challenged in court. The city, faced with the alternative of a legal quagmire, officially recognized the trust. My siblings tried everything to get a piece of what they now saw as their rightful inheritance. They challenged my mental capacity. They claimed Grandma had been coerced. They even tried to have the house condemned again. Each attempt failed. Now, 2 years after that demolition crew uncovered our family's history, I still live in Grandma's house. It's fully restored, a registered historical landmark that anchors a heritage district. The trust has funded 50 scholarships, built 2 affordable housing complexes, and preserved 6 historical buildings. My siblings no longer speak to me. The last I heard, Diana was still bitter. Marcus had moved across the country, and Lydia spent her oil royalties on lawyers trying to break the trust. Sometimes I sit on the porch, the same porch where Grandma told me the house had secrets, and I wonder if she knew. The journal suggests the knowledge was passed down through generations of Hartwell women, always to the one who loved the house for itself, not its value. In her final letter to me, discovered in the hidden room, Grandma Violet wrote, "My sweet Sophie, they will laugh when you get the house, as they laughed when I got it, as they laughed at my mother before me. Let them laugh. The last laugh belongs to those who see with their hearts. The house chose you as it chose me. Take care of it, and it will take care of our community. All my love, Grandma." The house at 44 Cypress Street stands proud now, no longer anyone's worthless shack. It's a symbol of how the things we dismiss as worthless often hold the greatest treasures. You just have to look deeper than the peeling paint and sagging porch. And sometimes you have to be willing to swing a sledgehammer to find the truth.